The Philippines is taking bold steps to bolster its military capabilities in response to China's aggressive actions in the South China Sea. Here, the parallels can be drawn to historical instances where nations faced similar challenges. For example, during the Cold War, Finland, a neutral country bordering the Soviet Union, implemented a strategy known as Finlandization to navigate geopolitical pressures. Despite being situated between two superpowers, Finland maintained its independence by adopting a policy of pragmatic diplomacy, balancing between East and West. Similarly, the Philippines' strategic alliances with the United States and Japan echo Finland's approach, stressing the importance of forging partnerships to safeguard sovereignty within regional power dynamics. Just as Finland sought to protect its autonomy through strategic alignments, the Philippines is asserting its interests in the South China Sea while cultivating alliances to reinforce its position on the global stage. In the wake of China's persistent attempts to assert dominance over the South China Sea and encroach upon the Philippines' territorial waters, tensions in the region have reached at new heights. Recent clashes between Chinese and Filipino vessels pinpoints the escalating maritime disputes potentially drawing in the United States, which is a long-standing ally of the Philippines. China's strategy of employing gray zone tactics aimed at coercively altering the status quo without triggering a military response has targeted the Philippines in particular. Over the past 9 months, Filipino vessels have encountered Chinese military-grade lasers and water cannons, obstructing their access to the disputed Spratly Islands. In a bold move reminiscent of Chinese tactics, Manila recently deployed Coast Guard officials as fishermen to remove buoys blocking Filipino fishermen from their exclusive economic zone, EEZ. This symbolic act of defiance exposed China's bullying tactics and served as a rallying cry for other nations facing similar intimidation. China's objective includes pressuring the Philippines to surrender its claim to Second Thomas Shoal, which is a strategic reef in the Spratly Islands. Despite Chinese harassment, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has remained steadfast in defending Philippines' sovereignty, citing the 2016 international arbitral ruling against China's expansive maritime claims. The Philippines' stance has garnered support from the United States, with whom it recently reaffirmed mutual defense commitments under the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. The Biden administration has intensified military cooperation through bilateral talks and joint military exercises, signaling a deepening of the US-Philippines alliance. Furthermore, other nations such as Japan, Australia, and Canada have demonstrated solidarity with the Philippines against China's maritime aggression. Tokyo has bolstered defense ties, while Australia has conducted joint patrols with the Philippines in the South China Sea. By leading the charge against China's maritime bullying, the Philippines is setting a precedent for Southeast Asian nations to assert their sovereignty and safeguard vital resources. With robust support from Washington and its allies, Manila is challenging China's gray zone activities and promoting free and open seas, reshaping the regional security landscape in favor of sovereign nations. The Philippines is embarking on a significant effort to upgrade its military infrastructure, allocating an impressive $35 billion over the next decade. This initiative aims to bolster the nation's defense capabilities, particularly in the South China Sea. President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos has greenlit these modernization efforts, focusing on strengthening the Navy, Air Force, surveillance, and other military assets. Colonel Francil Margaret Padilla, spokesperson for the Armed Forces of the Philippines, highlight the importance of this capability enhancement, emphasizing its significant contribution to national defense as the country transitions from domestic security operations to territorial defense, shifting from internal to external defense. So because of this, Horizon 3 projects will be focused mainly more on territorial defense, so we'll be recruiting more ships, more aircrafts, enhance their cybersecurity operations. Chief of Staff Romeo Bronner Jr. has disclosed plans to acquire more warships, combat aircraft, radars, and other essential equipment under this modernization initiative. The modernization plan includes various acquisitions such as multi-role combat aircraft, MRCA, radars, additional frigates, guided missile systems, helicopters, and submarines. Notably, the Philippine Navy is poised to acquire its first submarines, with countries like South Korea, Spain, and France expressing interest in supplying them. Moreover, the Philippines is set to receive its inaugural batch of the coastal missile system BRAMOS, following a significant investment of approximately $375 million. The arrival of the BRAMOS missile system, now deployed in strategic locations facing the South China Sea, marks a major turning point for the Philippines. It becomes the first country outside India to field this cutting-edge weapon, and with its blistering supersonic speed of Mach 2.8 and strike range of roughly 300 kilometers, the BRAMOS doesn't just strengthen Manila's defenses, it sends a message. The Philippines is ready to defend its exclusive economic zone, EEZ, and assert its sovereignty with real force behind its words. Meanwhile, the Philippines is also beefing up its presence on several islands and reefs across the contested South China Sea. Military Chief General Romeo Brawner announced plans to improve living conditions for troops stationed in these remote outposts, including installing desalination systems and other essential infrastructure. Even as multiple countries, including China, press overlapping territorial claims, Manila remains committed to international law and sustainable practices. Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro reinforced this stance, stressing the Philippines' unwavering commitment to ensuring the peaceful and uninterrupted exploration and use of natural resources within its exclusive economic zone. In other words, the Philippines will safeguard what is legally its own. During a high-profile visit to Australia, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. reiterated that the Philippines is willing to talk with China about the South China Sea, but there is a line that cannot be crossed. Dialogue is welcome, he said, but any attempt to violate Philippine sovereignty or maritime rights will be met with firm resistance. Marcos emphasized that he is working with both ASEAN neighbors and China to finally achieve a long-promised Code of Conduct, COC, for the South China Sea, one built firmly on international law. Speaking at the Lowy Institute, Marcos underlined the importance of managing rising tensions, making it clear the Philippines will not give up any territory under pressure. He noted that the world is entering a period of sharper geopolitical divides, especially between the United States and China, and warned that smaller nations must not be treated like chess pieces in a global power struggle. We in the Indo-Pacific, he said, must ensure that great powers do not turn our region into an arena for their competition. Their strategic ambitions must never come at the expense of smaller states or international peace. Relations with China have grown tense since Marcos took office in 2022, fueled by repeated clashes over reefs and atolls in the South China Sea. At the same time, the Philippines has strengthened its defense partnership with the United States. Marcos has openly described this shift as a deliberate choice, one rooted in history and shared security goals. He highlighted the decades-long alliance with the United States as a stabilizing force in the Pacific and emphasized plans to further deepen cooperation. Manila has expanded the number of bases accessible to U.S. forces, including sites strategically positioned near Taiwan. Joint U.S.-Philippine military exercises have grown more frequent, extending to coordinated air and naval patrols across the South China Sea, moves China strongly dislikes. Marcos warned against viewing every regional issue solely through the lens of U.S.-China rivalry, arguing that the real concern is aggressive unilateral actions that violate international law. He also approved the third phase of the Philippine military's modernization program, aimed at shifting the nation toward full external defense and ensuring peaceful control over its maritime resources. During a summit in Manila, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and President Marcos solidified a major expansion in defense cooperation. Japan pledged to provide patrol boats, coastal radars, drones, and other security equipment under its new Official Security Assistance (OSA) program, making the Philippines the first country in the world to receive such aid. This represents a major shift for Japan and underscores its commitment to supporting Manila amid China's aggressive behavior in the East and South China Seas. Japan and the Philippines are also negotiating a Reciprocal Access Agreement, RAA, that would allow joint training between Japan's self-defense forces and the Philippine military. Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno described the Philippines as a strategic partner, sharing key democratic values, expressing Tokyo's determination to strengthen ties further. Japan's decision to prioritize the Philippines as the first OSA recipient sends a powerful message. Tokyo is serious about reinforcing Manila's ability to protect its waters, and equally serious about keeping the region open, stable, and governed by international law. Japan's push for a Reciprocal Access Agreement, RAA, with the Philippines underscores just how urgently Tokyo wants to deepen its strategic partnership with Manila. The goal is clear: expand joint training, strengthen cooperation, and face down rising regional threats, especially China's increasingly aggressive behavior. With President Marcos Jr. re-energizing ties with Washington since taking office in 2022, momentum for a stronger security network in the region has only grown. Both Tokyo and Manila expect that once the RAA is finalized, it will unlock even more joint training opportunities, not just between the two countries, but alongside the United States as well. A major milestone came on June 16th of last year, when the National Security Advisors of the United States, Japan, and the Philippines met for their first ever trilateral talks. In the face of mounting tensions involving North Korea, China, and the war in Ukraine, the three allies committed to boosting their defense cooperation and adapting to a rapidly changing security environment. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said he, along with Japan's Takeo Akiba and the Philippines' Eduardo Año, focused on navigating a turbulent regional landscape and building stronger defenses together. Their coordinated efforts aim to uphold peace and stability in areas that matter most: freedom of navigation, economic security, and regional resilience. In a joint statement, Sullivan, Akiba, and Año emphasized the need to reinforce the trilateral partnership, strengthening the existing alliance networks between the US and Japan, and the US and the Philippines. Sullivan called this trilateral format a major advancement, connecting it with Washington's broader Indo-Pacific strategy, which also includes cooperation with Japan and South Korea, as well as the Quad Alliance involving Australia, India, Japan, and the US. Talks also included possibilities for joint naval drills across the Indo-Pacific and deeper military collaboration in humanitarian and disaster relief missions. Japan's new national security strategy, unveiled last December, features a dramatic increase in defense spending and support for developing nations. For the Philippines, this shift is especially meaningful as Japanese assistance is expected to boost both infrastructure and defense capacity. With tensions still simmering in the South China Sea, the US reaffirmed its commitment to freedom of navigation and peaceful dispute resolution. At the same time, the Philippines' move to acquire its first submarine signals a major evolution in Manila's approach to national defense, a shift toward protecting its interests far beyond its coastline. The purchase, approved by President Marcos Jr. as part of the military's modernization plan, marks a historic departure from the country's traditional focus on internal security. Operating a submarine is no small undertaking, said Chester Cabalza, founder of the International Development and Security Cooperation think tank. The training, the equipment, the operational demands, they're enormous. Cabalza believes this decision represents a turning point that could help position the Philippines as a true maritime power in the region. The 2024 defense budget, packed with new funding for South China Sea operations, reinforces this ambition. Mark Manantan of the Pacific Forum International sees the submarine push as a bold sign of Manila's increasing security assertiveness, and the global defense industry is paying attention. Major submarine manufacturers from Spain, France, and South Korea have already stepped forward with competitive offers. Spain's Navantia stands out with a proposal for two S-80 Isaac Peral submarines worth $1.7 billion. Their deal includes far more than the vessels alone, offering the construction of a new submarine base in Ormoc City, full training packages, technology transfers, and long-term maintenance support. The S-80 subs, stretching 81 meters, come with advanced capabilities, land attack options, surveillance missions, anti-submarine warfare, and a powerful air-independent propulsion (AIP) system that allows them to stay submerged longer. They can also deploy Harpoon missiles and even Tomahawk cruise missiles, significantly boosting the Philippines' maritime strike power. France's naval group has entered the competition with its offer of two diesel-electric Scorpion-class submarines, proven, versatile, and widely used around the world. South Korea's Hanwha Ocean is also vying for the contract, proposing its Jangbogo 3 submarines equipped with modern propulsion systems and guided missile capabilities. This three-way contest between Spain, France, and South Korea highlights just how seriously the Philippines is taking its defense transition. Analysts widely describe the submarine acquisition as a defining moment, one that could reshape the country's naval posture for years to come. As Armed Forces spokesperson, Colonel Francil Margaret Padilla noted, the Philippines is still weighing its options. But whichever path it chooses, the decision marks a pivotal step towards strengthening the nation's maritime defenses as it faces an increasingly complex and contested region. As tensions flare in the South China Sea, the Philippines is making it clear it's done being pushed around. Determined to defend its territory and protect its future, Manila is ramping up its military strength, tightening key alliances with the United States and Japan, and even eyeing new frontiers like submarine warfare. Every move sends the same unmistakable message: any further intrusion into its waters won't go unanswered. Through active diplomacy, major defense upgrades, and growing international backing, the Philippines is reshaping the balance of power in the region. It's standing up to China's gray zone pressure tactics, championing freedom of navigation, and reinforcing the fundamental principle that a nation's borders and its people deserve to be protected.